Hello everybody and welcome back to Jenna Gets Creative. I have been asking everybody for the last couple of weeks to give me your questions so that I can answer your questions in a Q&A to celebrate reaching 50 subscribers. Now, last week you guys hit it out of the park. We have blown past 50. I am at 68 as I record this. So thank you very much. So today, while you watch me draw these mandalas, I will be answering your questions. I will give a shout out link to everybody who asked questions in the description down below, along with my website and Redbubble and social medias. And anybody asking a question who has a YouTube channel, they will appear in the iCard when I answer their question. So let's get to it. Lollybee Art asks, who or what inspired you to draw? And if you've ever gotten discouraged or wanted to give up, who or what inspired you to keep going? So, my mom is really good at art, particularly drawing horses, because, like me, she is a horse fanatic. So as a small child, that was my inspiration to start. I always loved drawing horses, and I would love to get mom to draw something and then try to copy it. And then in school, whenever there was a project that invited drawing, making visual components, I loved doing that homework because I would get mom to help me, and she would have ideas that I hadn't thought of, or she would help design something, and it was my work. She wasn't doing my projects for me, but I would definitely say I had some of the best projects in the class simply because I had my very artistic mother helping me. And then I've always been a science and technology kind of girl. So in high school, well, the school I went to, high school starts in 8th grade. And in 8th grade, you take a whole bunch of sampler electives that are only a couple of months long. And then in 9th grade, it goes to a regular system. And so, because we did so many electives in 8th grade, I did do an art class. But after that, I didn't do any more art for the rest of high school. But my younger sister did. She did art all the way through, or at least I think she did it all the way through. Might have not done it one year, I'm not sure. But seeing all the things that she was able to do, and all of the things that she was doing, particularly where we're 4 years apart, when she got to be 16, 17, whatnot, and her art was really starting to mature, I was in university, and that inspired me to take art electives. In terms of doing art more seriously instead of just as a hobby, I'm 30 and I've just gotten started actually using my YouTube channel here. So who inspired me to do that, to pick it up and to try to make something out of this? That would be the art YouTubers I watch. Bailey J, Chloe Rose, Mira Byler, Draw with Jazza, a whole bunch. There's so many. I could probably sit here for hours talking about all of the art YouTubers I watch, but yeah, who inspires me? My mom, my sister, and the rest of the art community here on YouTube and other social media platforms. Moonless Peach asks how I began painting in general, and I've kind of already answered that one now, haven't I? Just growing up with an artistic mother who both was artistic and demonstrated art and also encouraged it. That's how I got started. In terms of different art mediums, I see somebody do something cool and I decide to try it. And yeah, I find a lot of inspiration for different types of art to try by watching artists on YouTube and by just trying out whatever comes in Scrawler Box each month. Sometimes it's something I've never tried before, and I really find that to be helpful for inspiration and stretching my skills and boundaries. Crystal Dream Studios asked a couple of questions, and I'm only going to answer a couple of them because some of them are repetitive. But first of all, she asks, why all the animals? Well, because I like animals. I honestly didn't draw a lot of people growing up unless I was designing aliens for my science fiction stories. Yes, I have pictures. One day I will show them off. Maybe even try to redraw them. But yeah, mostly I was drawing animals, mainly horses and cats and dogs. So that's just kind of what I gravitated to when I came back to taking art seriously. Crystal Dream Studios also asks, why do I like watercolor? I find it's a very easy medium to get into. It's not very intimidating, and because it's so easy to work with watercolor on paper as opposed to canvas, it's less expensive to get into for sure. A cheap pad of watercolor paper is way cheaper and has way more surfaces and is going to last you a lot longer than some cheap canvases, let's be honest there. Golden Embers wants to know how I get inspiration for my artwork, whether I have a process or it just comes to me. And well, it depends what I'm doing. If I'm just sitting down to draw something and make an artwork out of it, I've probably got an idea of what I was going to draw, and it's an idea that just came to me. Or perhaps I was browsing reference photos on Pixabay or a similar site like that, and something struck me as, oh, I should draw that. But then other times, maybe I'm making a Scrawlrbox video or whatnot, there's materials I have to use and there's a prompt provided. So then I really sit down and think, how can I use these materials to satisfy this prompt? And sometimes that does come to me. Other times I really have to think about it for a while, do some Googling even on the prompt, get some more specific ideas. This most recent Scrawlrbox would be an example where I had to really, really think about it and look things up. And it didn't even work out the way I wanted it to. As you will see on Tuesday, I ended up doing a second piece for the video because I really wasn't happy with it. Nintendo Level 64, also known as Daffy, has asked, how long have you been doing art / what age did you begin? Well, as I've said, I've pretty much always been doing art. I remember being a preschooler sitting at my grandmother's kitchen table, challenging her to draw what I had drawn. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. I didn't start taking art seriously until very, very recently. Like I've already said in answers here, I am 30 and I just started taking YouTube art seriously as an option for me earlier this year. Sniper asks, will you ever make a manga or publish a book? Yes, I will definitely publish a book. I am a writer working toward being an independent author. I have plans for children's books that are kind of local interest, kind of telling stories about Newfoundland through the perspective of a cat character. I'm not going to say any more because I don't want this idea stolen before I get it out. I also do enjoy writing adult level, not adult content, adult level science fiction and fantasy. Eventually one of those will be completed and be published. Sorry if you heard a weird thump in the background, my cat knocked something over. Also, the mandalas you see me drawing right now are for a coloring book that I will try to publish and release once I have enough material done for it. In terms of a manga, probably not. I've never really gravitated towards drawing in that style, with the exception of drawing a select few Pokemon characters. But, you know, never say never. Theodosia Burr, sorry if I said your name wrong. She is asking, What is your favorite thing to do other than art? I have a few really favorite interests. I absolutely love horses. I love to ride horses, and whenever I get a chance, I am going to go ride horses. Now, that doesn't happen very often these days, since I live in Newfoundland, an entire country length away from my family and the stable we usually ride at. But, you know, I do it when I can. Other than that, I absolutely love reading science fiction and fantasy novels, and I am a self-taught programmer. I mostly do web-based applications in PHP, but I do know several programming languages, and I did study computer science. Last but not least, Naughty Stripes really made me think. Naughty Stripes asks, in the past, people were buried with items they would need in the afterlife. What would you want to be buried with so that you could use it in the afterlife? Well, before I answer that question, I am going to say that I am assuming we are talking about inanimate objects. I do not want anything sacrificed to be buried with me. And I'm also assuming that eventually all of the people and pets I would want with me will get there in their own time. So, inanimate objects. So, the top of the short list, we have computer, art supplies, and books. Computer, if I have to pick just one of those things, computer would win if I could have the peripherals I would need to use it for artwork, and the software I would need to read ebooks, and the internet access I would need to be downloading my books and my reference photos and sharing my creations with the world. Afterlife world. Whatever. If it's just a computer by itself with, you know, the preloaded software from the store and no internet connection, then that's pretty useless to me. We move on to art supplies or books. Now, I can't imagine not ever reading a book again. And if bringing them with me to the afterlife is the only way I'm going to have books, then I'm going to have to pick books over art supplies, because I will find some other way to be creative. If I can have both, art supplies for sure. If I have to be more specific than just saying art supplies, then I'm going to want my watercolors and my alcohol markers. Those are my favorite mediums at the moment, so those are what I would pick right now. That was an awesome question, thanks. Alright, so thank you everybody who asked questions. If you would like to ask a question in a future Q&A, I will give everybody quite a bit of heads up, as I did this one. I do plan on doing more Q&As in the future, so keep that in mind. I am doing a giveaway once I reach 100 subscribers, so keep an eye out for that. It will be open internationally, but you must be a channel subscriber, so go ahead, subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. I always reply to your comments. I love reading them. And as I mentioned, I will leave my website, my Redbubble shop, and all of my social media down below. And I will see you on Tuesday for a Scrawler Box unboxing. Bye guys!